Good morning, this is Jack from the AutoChart.net, and this is the pre-market recording for Monday, the 6th of August. Now, let's have a look at ES first. Now, interestingly, the 60-minute sell signal failed on ES. It is still ongoing and reconfirming, I think, on NQ. What are we looking at here? Well, we are seeing a distinct possibility of seeing some reversal here. I would love to see a back test of the weekly pivot for an early start, and then hold that and head up into the retest of this high and then the retest of the all-time high. That would be very nice to see. Don't know if we're going to see it, but actually looking at the NQ chart here, that's quite promising. You see the higher high on increased negative divergence, pretty close to a reconfirmation here. This is a nice little setup to deliver that retracement. Not necessarily going to, but it's a nice little setup to deliver it, and we may well see it. I would like to see it. That would set up a very nice long entry into the ATH, and that would be good to see. So we'll see whether we see that this morning. Looking at the RTH charts briefly, we've got here we are in a channel from 2691, which is within a larger channel from 2594. We're going to be we've got intersecting trend lines up here in the 2890 area, I think approximately, which are going to be intersecting later this week. I would love to see a test of that at the intersection, and we could see that. We shall see. If we see a back test of the new weekly pivot today, that'll be a back test of this old gap resistance, which is an important support and resistance area. So I'd love to see that, and also the 50-hour moving average, which is currently at 22 and rising. That has been, obviously that was resistance while we were retracing. It now might need a reconfirmation of support, and we could do that at the same time we were testing weekly pivot. So I'd like to see that this morning. Don't know if we'll see it, but I would like to see it. And the setup is very much potentially there. CL. CL, well, this isn't an Elliott wave triangle, but it sure looks like a classical triangle. Classical triangle doesn't help us an awful lot on direction. I've got rising support approximately where the weekly pivot is here. So if we see a break below that, then we may well be returning to triangle support, which I've got currently in the 67 area. On the bigger picture, I've been giving the oil chart a lot of thought over the weekend. The direction from here is important. We've got a because effectively, if this may not be an Elliott wave triangle, but it's still a triangle, and what it is really is a contracting range. We've got, as and when we break out of this, ideally we'd see a retest of this high. Could we run on further from that? Yes, we could. We do have an attractive target above, and that is the monthly pivot is... Good question. Where is the monthly pivot? Hang on, wait a second. I'm just going to pull up my spreadsheet, and I'll give you the number. Yeah, obviously I need to put that on. All right, bear with me a minute. My master spreadsheet will give it to me. CL, I've got that at 69.34. So we're there more or less at the moment. So we're testing that as resistance. That's holding it so far because it's also at triangle resistance. I'm thinking we're probably leaning towards a reversal here. Don't know how far it gets. I'd love to see a retest this high in the reversal. We've got a big reversal brewing on CL. We're going to see a decent, respectable move down. May well hit the 50s, possibly lower than 55, which is where rising support from the bear market low is. The attractive target above is, I remember some of you who've been around for ages may remember me talking about the start of 2016, a gargantuan falling wedge on CL, and how we were testing wedge support. Now we found support there. Now wedge resistance is now at 80. It was at 95 at the time, but obviously we're almost 3 years on. That's now at 80, and we're potentially within striking range of that. Now we're expecting to see this retracement before we see that test, and then very possibly break up through it, but it's just possible we'd see it beforehand. So that is something I'm just mentioning as a possibility if we see a runaway move to the upside, and that needs to be borne in mind. I think I would love to see at least a retest this high, because there's a very nice short coming up on CL, and obviously it would be nice to see a nice entry set up for that, which isn't really here. Okay, NG. NG, Nice retracement. I've got resistance above at the 61.8 at 2.884. I've got two potential resistance trend lines, channel resistance, megaphone resistance, slightly below that. We haven't actually quite hit either yet. I'm thinking we're going to retest this high, probably go a bit higher, may well hit one of those two trend lines. Don't know if that's going to set up a 60-minute sell signal. That's gone a bit low already. We shall see. I'm not expecting to see this break up over the 61.8. Obviously, I could be mistaken. If we do, then this makes it less likely to be a bear flag setup, which is what it's likely to be at the moment. GC is close to a retest of the low. I was talking about this on Chart Chat yesterday. We are reaching a key inflection point on DX at the retest of the high on DX. And the question is, what's going to happen there? We could get driven lower on metals if we see much more than a marginal new high. So I'm leaning towards a marginal new high, but obviously, you know, metals have been quite heavy on the downside, so it's possible we're going to lose the nice bottoming setups here. But we do have a lot of buy signals on gold particularly, and we'll also get buy signals brewing on silver when we see the retest of the low. We'll see. Silver, I've got a falling channel at the moment. The channel support is a bit above the retest of the low, but won't be in a couple of days. I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of the low here, and that will get me decent buy signal spring. HG, probably going to see a retest of the low there too. Again, not far away. Trendline support, such as it is, because it's not great trendline support yet. I'm not sure I've got the overall pattern here yet. But such as it is, that is above the retest level. So we'll see how that goes. Right, ZB. ZB, we've bit like the CL thing, we've got a big rally brewing on ZB. And we're looking really for the 150 area. Question is, where's it going to start? I'm not seeing an obvious reversal pattern here. We do have a daily sell signal on TNX as well as an hourly RSI 14. I'm thinking ideally this would go a bit lower. Ideally, it would get down to 139 and retest the low, but I'm doubtful about it getting that far. There is a big rally coming on here, and I think this is all part of the setup for it. I'm not that convinced we've seen the low yet, but I have to say the RSI signals are saying long. Okay, DX. DX is close to a retest this high. It's likely to retest this high. We're already on a 60-minute sell signal. If we just do a marginal retest, we may that may just reconfirm and head straight down. I'd love to see a double top here with retest of the lows on metals. Stan is seeing a possible thrust up further to the 96 area. That's not hugely higher. It would need to hold there because there is a very nice looking, well, pretty nice looking alternate scenario where DX heads back to 102 and the metals crater. And obviously I'm wary of that. I prefer to see a marginal higher high here. USD coming into the retest of the low, likely to see it. So obviously we've already had a retest of the low. This would set up a alternate smaller double bottom. We're through the obvious trendline support here. There's nothing really blocking this from a retest of the low. We are already on a 60-minute buy signal. As with DX, that may just strengthen and reconfirm on a lower low and retest of this low. USD JPY. I'm holding trendline support at the moment. On the bigger picture, it's broken a rising wedge support trendline, but it may need a retest of this high as part of the topping process. Not expecting to see a great deal more than that, and then likely down. Given that this does trade to a certain degree with the DX, I'm a little doubtful about seeing the retest of this high, but we'll see how that goes. USD CAD. USD CAD's been this. Kind of looks like a flag forming. It's not a perfect flag yet. It's not a perfect flag channel. Hasn't hit the channel support. But it definitely is looking like a very potential flag forming. We've broken declining resistance, and we are consolidating sideways. No obvious direction from the RSI. If this hasn't been moving up much with USD, there is quite a lot of pressure to the downside. If we can break down below 1.295, then and sustain a break below, then this trend line goes away, and there's nothing really blocking it from heading down to first 125 area and then 120. Right, Australian dollar. Australian dollar, no obvious current pattern. 60-minute buy signal has reached the possible near-miss target, finding resistance at the monthly pivot so far. I would quite like to see a retest of this low. We may well see a retest of this low, as long as monthly pivot is holding as resistance. KC, no current divergence. We've broken up from this little falling megaphone. Haven't really made much headway to the upside. I'm not convinced that a significant low is in on KC. We shall see, but Stan likes it, but I'm not seeing the long-term long-term buy signals that I'd normally expect to see. We'll see how that goes. Right, SB, I am getting the long-term buy signals that I'm seeing here. I am wondering about a last retest of this low. We're testing the monthly pivot at the moment. A possible 60-minute sell signal is brewing. I think that's probably going to fix. We're going to see some retracement. We might see a retest of this low. We've got all the positive divergence we could wish for, really, on SB. I think a retest of this low would give us a bit more on the daily. We've already got the weekly and the monthly. This is one of my favorite longs. Okay, CC. CC, I'm going to be rolling this into the next contract today or tomorrow. In the interim, we've got weekly pivot above. We've actually got short-term double bottom resistance above just over 2100 and a 60-minute buy signal is fixed. I think we're going to see a decent-looking rally here, waiting to see what happens when we reach declining resistance in the 2150 area. Okay, ZW. ZW, nice little head and shoulders here, broke down slightly. It's not really delivered anything so far. RSI is staying down. If it can get down through rising support, currently in about the 540 area, then we've got a monthly pivot at 530. Then I've got a possible little head and shoulder target in the 520 area. We'd like to see that move. Not seeing much sign of that so far. Right. Corn, we've got a nice little megaphone here, overthrown bearishly, broken. I'm expecting to see more downside. Might need to retest this high first. We are on a 60-minute sell signal. Soy, again, nice little megaphone, overthrow. Actually, I think this might be a channel. And then break down. Again, might need to retest the high before it can break the monthly pivot and head down. No current divergence here, so the upside looks less certain. I have to say on soy, I'm pretty sure the buy signals on the daily are looking pretty nice too. So it may be that this gets us far. We shall see. All right, have we got any questions, guys? I'm going to stop the recording there.